how you managing things, just kind of during the pandemic right now?
I mean, it's tough, don't get me wrong, but I mean, because I'm taking like 19 credit hours right now.
Mm,
And so I'm doing a full load of classes just so I can get ahead of everything.
right.
Because I mean, I'm not doing anything else. So I might as well put all my effort into schoolwork to get ahead and do all of that. So I mean, it's just a bunch of work that I got to do. And it's hard teaching myself financial accounting, marketing
Oh
management.
God, yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm in my heavy business classes right now and I'm worried about teaching them to myself. So, I mean, it's just a lot going on, but I mean, it's nothing but par for the course. So it's nothing too serious.
I got you. What is it like kind of being around your family right now?
It's great. I'm not gonna lie, because it's crazy. So I went to a lot of people don't know this. I went to a boarding school my junior year of high school. So I left the house at 16, and so this is the first time I've been back and around my family full time forever for like the past three years.
Right.
And so I mean, it's good because even when I came back home for like 6 months and then I went straight to Florida. And so I mean, it's good being back home and around them. You know, it's good. It does your heart good, as the old folks say.
Right, right,
I
right, right.
mean, seeing my mom, seeing my dad, and seeing my sister is it's amazing.
Right. Absolutely. And I know they're glad that you're, home right now. I'm sure they'd probably rather see you playing football also, I'm sure.
Man, you know that it's crazy because I was actually talking to my dad, and he was like, if y'all had, because we didn't go back to campus this year, they kept us at home.
Right.
So I was talking to my dad. He was like, y'all probably would have ended up playing if y'all had went to campus. I was like, yeah, I know we would have, because I mean that's
Right.
what the Big Ten, the Pac-12, that's what they're doing. So I'm
Exactly.
surprised other smaller schools haven't done that at all. So I mean, hey,
Right. Absolutely right. So what does it feel like, having Deion Sanders as your coach now?
it's big. I grew up a Cowboys fan, really. So I mean, I've always heard the stories of the Cowboys of old before I started watching football and stuff like that. Because my mom's a big Cowboys fan too, so that's why I followed her. And so always guys talking about, oh, y'all haven't won a Super Bowl since Deion. Da, 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 da. And so I mean, just when I finally got old enough to know who he was
Mhm.
and know his stature in the game, it was big. And he's always been, somebody that I looked up to, I emulate, football side of things. And then now seeing that he's going to be my coach is just an honor, really, because it's somebody that I really have a lot of respect and resolve for. And I know that he can get me better as a man as well as an athlete. And so, I'll how he always does his scriptures on Twitter and all of that stuff.
Right.
Even before he was coming here, I'd go look at his tweets, and he always has a good word to give out, and something that you'll never know. Oh, I needed to hear that. I need to read that today. And so I mean, it's big for me. And so I mean, it's an honor to be able to learn and soak everything in from him. So I'm excited.
What has he, he told us or told the media specifically that, he had been talking with you guys in terms of, making sure that you're keeping your grades up, and I'm sure you've seen, just like we've all seen, he wants dogs on the field in terms of like being ready to play.
Yeah.
What has he stressed to some of you guys that are already, on the team?
Mm-hmm. The thing that he's stressing to us is, you know, that we believe in what we're doing. That's our whole thing right now. I believe. That's what I mean. But that's what he's like. Y'all might think that's coming off as fake and like a facade, but that's really what our mantra as a team is right now. Is that we got to believe. We got to believe in ourselves. We got to believe in each other, that we can go out and become one and do what we got to do. And so I mean, he's stressing to us that we got to make sure our grades are good. We got to make sure everything that we're obtaining the right things while we're away, so that once we come back together, we can just mesh and gel and get together well.
What do you plan? What do you hope to do? Well, during this time since you've been away due to the pandemic, in terms of taking your game to the next level, what's some of the things that you wanted to become better at? Moving into the spring season.
It's a lot. The one thing that I really like that with this time off, I can get fully healthy.
Hmm.
So it's been times where I might go out, I'm not at 100%, and I'm not fully able to go at my peak, really.
Right.
And so getting healthy was a big thing during this off season. And then just my pocket awareness and pocket presence. That's one thing that I'm really trying to work on extending the play, because with my athletic ability, it's like it's hard to draw back from that so much. And that's what Lamar's learning right now, is that he can rely on his arm more and he doesn't have to run as much. And when he does run, he runs to, and when I run, I'm trying to learn to run to extend the play, to open people up downfield, not to run it myself. And so
Right.
that's one of the main things that I've been working on this offseason, is just, getting more assured as a passer, because I mean, I'm a great passer, but it hasn't really been put on table yet. Many
Right.
haven't seen it. So I mean, I've told a bunch of people that last year, that streak of games that I had, the last 3 games, that was just probably about 40% of my talent. It's just, I have a lot more to give and a lot more to show, and I'm just excited to put it all on the table come spring.
Absolutely. When you ran last year, having watched some of you guys' games, when you ran last year, were you still? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, you're trying to extend the play, but also looking to make that pass if necessary this year, versus like last year when you were running. You were running to, maybe, let's say, get the first down.
Yeah, exactly.
So what were your thoughts in extending the play last year?
I mean, it was a little it was a little back and forth. Extending the play, I need, the thing that was me was that I was trying to take it in upon myself
Mm-hmm.
to go out there and make things happen, instead of believing it and leaning on my teammates when I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, that's really all that was that, that's first time in college, first college games. Of course I'm gonna try to be resolve on my, like, use my talent more, but I gotta forget my talent and lean on my teammates more.
Right. Absolutely right. Were there any games where, and you just mentioned this, there's a string of games toward the end of the season that, you kind of, felt like you were coming into yourself a little bit more. What did you like about those games, those last 3 games, versus like the way that you first started the season?
Um, it was a bunch going on in the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I got hurt the first game. I was out the next game, and so I mean, I never really got my footing after that.
Mm-hmm.
But towards like halfway through the season, I got real calm and confident in myself. And so I mean, it's hard to go out there and play when you don't have a lot of confidence in yourself and you're questioning yourself.
Right.
And those last few games, I just woosad and just, got reassured that, I know how to play this game and I know what to do. And they put the ball in my hands and let me finally start. And it speaks for itself.
Why didn't you? What made you not have confidence?
Um, the issues with how, how do I put this? Yeah, some good questions. I can tell you do this for a living. Golly. It's just it's a lot. I had a lot going on at the time. Of course, had friends back home dying and not being able to be back home. Finally, being away in Jackson, it's hard being by myself. So it was a lot of off field issues that were attributing to my on field issues. And so once I finally got everything in my life calmed down and I was able to, really pour myself into the game and really lock in on everything.
Right. Absolutely. In terms of, now with the rest of this semester to just kind of focus on school grades, and then going to the spring, you guys don't actually get a chance to start working out and, starting practice till January. So
Yeah.
in between that time, what has it been like, dealing with, like, working out yourself, or like, are you going through different drills? I know I talked with Coach Ridley, maybe about 3 weeks ago, before Sanders was named coach, and he was saying, like, different positions on the team have certain drills and different things like that to do. What has that been like, knowing that you're doing this yourself, but not necessarily on a football field doing it?
I mean, I'm doing it by myself, but it's not on the football. I just have to believe that the guys that are my teammates, they're out there pushing themselves just as hard as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as football drills, I mean, we're just make sure we're conditioned, in shape, make sure we know what we got to do, our responsibilities, working on our craft to get us better as in our design positions. So, if I'm over here throwing all day, I need you over there catching and running routes all day. And so it's just leaning on each other. And that's the big thing. I got to believe that you're doing what you need to do to be successful, and you got to believe that I'm doing what I need to do to be successful. And so that's all it is.
What's your relationship now, like with the remaining receivers that are on the team? Like, you know how you often hear, quarterbacks in the NFL spending extra time away from just the practice field, and,
Yeah.
running through drills and things like that. Actually spending time with the guys that have to catch those passes that you're throwing. Like, so what's your relationship like with, with your receivers now?
It was great. I love those guys. It was a time before. It's a time that we go probably weekly that we watch film together on Zoom. And so Zoom is I've never heard of Zoom before the pandemic, but now Zoom and me we're like this. We're real close because I mean it's so much that you can do. Like I could share my screen right now and we could watch film together. And
Right.
so I mean that's something that I do with the receivers. Just call the guys up, get them on the line, and we just watch some film for an hour and a half, and then we're just talking about what we see, what I see, what I see that I need their help with, what they see that I don't see, so we can all just get on the same page at what we're all looking at. Because once we all have eyes on the same thing and looking at the same things, then we're always going to be on the same page.
Right. Absolutely right. In terms of your, I'm gonna say this, your relationship with Coach Taylor, how has that grown since you've gotten here, since you got to Jackson State?
Man, I mean, everybody always hears the stuff like Coach TC and Jalon, that's father, son, and everything. That's a running joke because I
Yeah.
mean it's just how much we're around each other. Coach TC has been a real positive influence in my life ever since I've come to Jackson State. He actually his old quarterback at North Carolina Central, Malcolm Bell, he's actually my trainer up here in Virginia because we're from the same hometown. We went to the same high school, so I mean he told me about Coach Taylor and how great of a man that he was before I even came to Jackson State. Then being at Jackson State just reaffirmed everything that I was told. Like he's a great guy. He's humble. He's gonna be that person to get on your ass, but he's also gonna be that person there to pick you up and help you through anything. I know I can call Coach Taylor right now and he'd pick up in a heartbeat. And so I mean he's always somebody that's there that I can talk to and I can lean on. So I mean I got a lot of love for Coach Taylor. Our relationship has just grown so much over the year, and I'm excited to see keep him in my life and see how everything keeps going. So I mean, he's a great guy.
How has he helped you grow as a quarterback?
He's helped with my confidence. He's instilled in me it's you always have that self-confidence, but it's always that extra. Okay, when somebody else says, okay, I see that you're working on this, I see that you're getting better at this. When somebody else recognizes your work, it reaffirms that you're doing something good in yourself. And so, I mean, he does a great job with that. And that's big. I'll come back and practice. I might not have the best day at practice, the first practice of the week, come back the next day and be on and be like, okay, I see that you worked on this, you worked on that, you're doing this, you're doing that. So keep that up and keep doing that. And that makes me feel good because I'm like, okay, all of this work that I'm doing is paying off.
Right.
And so he does a great job keeping me in line and keeping everything straight.
What do you think it takes for Jackson State? Obviously, everybody's the running thing within the media. Everybody's been looking at the fact that, Jackson State hasn't had a winning season since 2013. What does it take for you guys to put Jackson State back on the map as a winning program?
First off, the whole winning season since 2013, we don't even look at that,
Right.
because if you're constantly looking in the past, you'll never be looking forward.
Right.
And so that's the main thing. The thing that we need to do is just believe in each other and believe in the team. It's times where you got to put the egos to the side. You got to sacrifice the me for the we.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big thing. You got to sacrifice your ego. You got to sacrifice your time. You got to sacrifice so much of your stuff for you that you might want to do for the betterment of the team. And so once you start doing that, that's when everything will come together. And so, I mean, the whole thing about a winning season, there's a bunch of stuff that goes into losing and a bunch of stuff that goes into winning. And so, I mean, we believe that we're on the cusp right now to turn some heads right now.
When you lost some of the games that you lost last year, what were some of the lessons you took away from those losses?
Another great question. Lessons that I took. It was a lot. One of the main lessons that I took overall from all the losses is controlling what you can control. You know, if you go out there and you're stressed about what other people are doing that you have no control over, it'll make you sick. Like you won't be able to function because you're too busy worrying about what's going on outside of you, stuff that you can't control. Like if I want to control that your beard cut like that, I'm gonna make myself upset that you don't have a full beard like me. Like,
Right.
and it might just be because you can't grow a full beard, but that'll make me upset. You know, so I can't control what you're doing and what others are doing. So that's why I just got to worry about controlling what I can control in myself.
Right.
So I know that if I'm doing my best and controlling what I control and being at 100% with me, then somebody else doesn't have to worry about what I'm doing and they can worry about focusing on themselves. So that's one of the main lessons that I took from the losses last year, controlling what I can control.
Got you. What would you say? Well, let me backtrack really quick. And this is going back in a different situation really quick. What's your relationship like with, I know you mentioned that seems like you're pretty close with your family. How much of an impact has your family played on or impacted you in terms of you playing football?
The impact my family has had, I love my family. Like we're just straight athletes. You know, my mom was in the Olympics. My dad was up for the national championship. My sister is a top basketball recruit, 3-time state championship in Virginia. And we're just athletes. And so we just push each other. You know, the running joke is that my mom's the best athlete in the family, really. Because I mean, if you look up Tanya Hughes, she was a 4-time national high jump champion in college. Went to the Olympics in '92, and then my dad with the Buffaloes turned that program around, and with my sister lighting the way and doing what she's doing, the great that she is, it's just it was tough me being the youngest, really, trying to find my own way, you know, and not get lost in their shadow, and that was a driving factor that made me work harder. That I have all of these great athletic feats in front of me that I need to be able to have my own. And so they push me like little things. And so it's just the tutelage that they pour into my life. You know, the crazy thing is we all have played a different sport except for me and my dad. We're the only football players, but my mom played a different sport. My sister played a different sport. And so it's all of the stuff that they can pour into me to make me better. And little lessons like that, like I would never guess that a high jump lesson and a high jumper would say something that would help me as a football player. But my mom always finds a way. Work is work, you know.
Right.
No matter what you're doing, you writing, you asking questions, that's work. It might not be the work that I'm accustomed to, but I have to respect your work ethic. Right. And I have to respect her work ethic and my sisters and my dad's because they've been there and they know what it takes to get to the highest level. And so they'll see me doing stuff and they'll when you're around a bunch of alphas, it makes you either wither away or it makes you step up. And so that's the main thing that being around them has helped me, is helped me become the leader and the man and the athlete that I am. And so I'm trying to take that title of best athlete from my mom. And so that's the one thing I'm chasing. So I'm gonna get there one day. So I mean, it's great having this family around me to push me and to draw everything out of me that I can.
Absolutely. What would you say, coming from the SEC and transferring to Jackson State, what do you like most about the culture of Jackson State?
You know, you always hear about the difference between PWI and HBCU, but it's you never really understand it until you've seen both sides of that coin. You know, it's a bunch of love at an HBCU. You can feel it. Like you'll have an issue with classes, and at a PWI, you might not be able to talk to the professor because he has 250 students that he's talking to and he's teaching, and he might not have that time. That's not his fault, but that is just par for the course. And so, I mean, at a HBCU, they'll sit there, they'll help you through stuff, and you feel a lot of the love at an HBCU. So, I mean, I love Jackson State. I love them for everything that they've done for me, and I mean, I love the HBCU life. It's amazing.
Right. What, like, you know, last year, first season, what was it like playing with the boom playing in your ear?
Dude, I love the sonic boom. I'm not like, it was actually funny. I took music appreciation, and the band director, he was my teacher.
Mhm.
So I convinced him to get me a sonic boom and a South hat, you know, and it's crazy because like they don't give those house out to anybody. Like they take it so serious, like
Oh,
almost like
absolutely.
fraternity. And so he gave me one of the hats. I probably think I'm the only person not in the boom that has one of those hats on campus. And so and it's funny because every now and again I'll say I'm in the boom and then I play the trombone. So like, you know, people want to ask like, what instrument, why you got the hat? I'm like, I'm in the boom myself. And they're like, oh, what instrument do you play? I'm like, I play trombone. And so, I mean, that stops questions automatically because then
Right.
like, who's going to ask me about some trombone? And so,
Right.
I love having the boom there. It's amazing, you know. So, I mean, I followed, you know, music people. I love music. And so, I mean, I followed the traditions of HBCU bands. And so, I mean, I've always been a fan of, you know, sonic boom. And so actually having them there to play is amazing. And I mean, you'll never fully, you can get it from a video and get it from watching them on television, but being there in person is nothing like it.
What would you say? Who would you say is your favorite NFL player, and why?
Golly. It's a, mm,
Or
um,
who would you say is the player that you emulate your game the most by?
see, that's a difference question with me. Person that I look up to in the NFL would be Cam Newton because of his story. You know, starting off at Florida, got in trouble there, had to leave, went to junior college, went to Auburn, came back, won the Heisman, national championship, first round draft pick, and to see his story of perseverance was always a big piece with me. You know, with my issues out Florida and leaving and stuff like that. And so, I mean, it was seeing that, you know, God had greater for his life than that, and you know, keeping up with everything. And Cam Newton's a big person that I look at, you know, to emulate as a man and as a player, because I mean, somebody that can overcome that and still, you know, go to the NFL, be an MVP in the Super Bowl, you know, that's big, and that's aspiration that I have on my life. So to see that somebody else has gone through certain things, you know, that's big. So I mean, I'm a big believer with God. Is like, you know, I assume you have faith with that. And so I mean, you know how God is, like, you know, what's for you is your destiny, you know.
Right.
And my main thing that I really look for is, you know, your blessings that God has meant for you, no earthly thing can take it away. And so, I mean, I believe that God has great plans for my life, and so He puts things in other people's lives for you to look at. And so, I mean, it's crazy to say that I think God had Cam Newton He went through to inspire me to keep going through what I would go through. And so, I mean, that's crazy to say that, but I believe in that. You know, somebody that I worked my game off of is probably a Richmond native, Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, he went about his school was like 15 minutes away from my school. You know, watching him, he went to where'd he go? He went to NC State first,
Mm-hmm.
didn't he?
Yep.
And then he went to Wisconsin. You know,
Right.
his sister actually played on my sister's AAU team, and so
Oh
I actually
gosh.
saw him a couple times. You know, and it's crazy because I saw him, and people be like, and this is when he was with the Bengals. When he was in, like, he was trying out for them or something. It was before he went to the Seahawks and everything. And so I was like, wow, that's Russell Wilson? And he's like, you know, Russell, he's a small guy. You know, I wasn't that big back then myself, but I
Right.
mean, I knew, like, I'd always pictured NFL players as being big, humongous guys. And so, I mean, Russell Wilson is like 5'10" on a good day. And so, I mean, seeing the work ethic that he has, the faith in God that he has, and the drive that he has is something I look at, you know, that intensity that, and that's all of that is outside of the football field, not to mention on the football field. You know, it was something that I looked at in him, because I mean, for the longest, I wasn't this size. I used to be short. My family probably, they thought I was a black sheep because I was a short one. My sister was taller than me. Everybody was taller than me.
Yeah.
And then so I mean, I looked at Russell like, okay, he's small. He can do this on the football field. There should be no reason why I couldn't. And then when I finally grew and now I'm big now. I mean, I still look at him because it's like what he does is so amazing. You know, how he brings in the mobility to the game, and also that knockout throwing that he has too. I mean, it's just amazing. So Russell Wilson is probably the player I emulate on the field that I try to.
What would you say, and this is one of my last questions, what would you say is your life motto or what you live your life by?
My life motto, actually, my life motto is Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord in all your ways and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he shall make your path straight. I got that tattooed on my rib. And so I went through all that pain because that's something that really means something to me. Because I
Right.
mean, it's so much crazy stuff that goes on in the world and around you that you'll get lost and you'll forget your place. And always having that trust in God that he's there to help me and he's there to guide me through whatever I need. It really, that faith, it really calms you. I never understood what old folk meant when they would say, I'm just waiting on God, leaning on God. Because I mean, I'd never been through stuff, but once I started going through stuff in my life and coming into adulthood, it's like, wow, okay, I understand why they put so much faith in God. Because I mean, if you don't put your faith in something, you're gonna, you know how hard that is. You don't have hope. You get depressed and you get down. And it's like putting my faith in God takes so much weight off my shoulder, and leaning on him when I can't hold myself up. And so I mean, that's something that I live my life by. Because I mean, my dad's a pastor, so I've always been in the church, but I mean, I never really understood and got a great relationship with God until I left the house and started dealing with stuff out in the streets. And so I mean, it's just crazy how much my faith has grown since I've left home. And so I mean, it's crazy to say that, but I mean, God is the only way I can do what I do, And so I mean, everybody has their own walk with Christ and everything like that. I don't want to turn this into no preaching montage.
Right. No,
I
I
mean,
totally understand though.
it's just God has been such a big piece in my life that I wouldn't be doing right if I didn't bring him the glory and bring him the recognition that some people don't. I mean, I wouldn't be nowhere close to where I am right now if it wasn't for God having his hand on my life. And so, I mean, that's really my motto of life, just, put my trust in him and he'll make my path straight. So